Hello, wonderful people. So, I gave a talk this week to a bunch of medical students about being a reflective practitioner, and I thought that I thought I'd make a video about what I talked about. And it includes kind of three parts. The first is I want to talk about the first time that I needed to debrief and be a reflective practitioner in Tanzania when I saw some traumatic stuff. The second part is reasons why I think everyone should be a reflective practitioner. And the third part is how we can all be more reflective. So let's talk about it. So yeah, I did my elective in Tanzania in a town called Moshi at the base of Kilimanjaro, and it was beautiful because it's such a flat landscape, but then amongst this kind of flat horizon you have this eruption of a mountain, Mount Kilimanjaro, with the snow-capped top, and then this kind of jungle savanna kind of thing. Yeah. And then the town that I was in. And you could see it from where I was staying in a little commune next to the hospital. And I remember on our first day at the hospital, we were walking to the hospital. There was students from across the world doing their elective placements as well. And, you know, they were kind of giving us heads up on what it's like and what to expect and yada, yada, yada. And I just remember one thing. I remember saying, look, I'm here to learn. I'm here to observe. I'm here to just be a fly on the wall, to see how resource-limited healthcare operates, so that one day I can, if I have insights or time, I can contribute back to resource-poor settings. And literally 2 hours later, you could just imagine in the movie, it's the next scene, I was performing compressions on a guy who had died because they needed more hands in the conga line of compressions, and it was very traumatic. I had to help out way more than I thought that I would, because, you know, someone wasn't being able to get a good seal with the bag mask valve, and there were issues in kind of communications and training, and so I basically was able to help and bring skills that I would have done in Australia as well. I do basic life support in Australia and do CPR and things like that. But I just didn't see myself doing that then. But in the kind of, you know, when someone dies in front of you and it all starts, you just kind of follow the team leader and who was the kind of chief of the department in the emergency room there. And yeah, I was in it, and I just kind of remember feeling like cracked rib. It's kind of one of the worst experiences that I've had. And the gentleman, unfortunately, was declared dead after a half an hour of half advanced care life support, half basic life support. You're meant to defibrillate in advanced care life support, but the defibrillator didn't work. So it was just like adrenaline, basically. And yeah, and adrenaline and fluid because he was dehydrated. But yeah, we didn't get him back. And I just remember, after the chaos of, you know, the resuscitation, just thinking that whoa, I need to talk about this. And feeling just this kind of new sense of stress that I haven't felt before. And I guess the definition of stress that works well for me is essentially when the complexity of the world around you surpasses your ability to process it in real time. And so that's why I needed to debrief, because in real time I couldn't process what was happening. And so after the fact, and I invited some of the other people who were involved in the resuscitation to just sit down for 5 minutes, and we just talked about through everything, what happened, what went well, what didn't go well, what we could have done better, and just kind of how we felt about everything, because for a couple of people there, it was their first resuscitation, and it was really therapeutic and important that we did that. And I was amazed at the fact that some of the people in the resuscitation just went to the next patient. They were completely kind of ambivalent to that, because they probably handle that stuff all the time in a kind of resource poor setting. People die often, unfortunately. So anyway, that was the first time that I needed to debrief, and really the first point of why I think being a reflective practitioner, debriefing, reflecting, whatever you want to call it, the first reason is it helps cope with stress. Now, the second point I wanted to talk about that's a little bit left of field, I guess, is the fact that I think that being a reflective practitioner actually slows time down. Now, I do YouTube as a form of reflection, and whatever you do, it helps you basically change from an experiencing state to a reflective state. Now, if you spend your life in an experiencing state, you know, where you do things just non-stop, then time will fly by, and you'll find that after, you know, when it's your next birthday, you'll say, whoa, was that already a whole year since my last birthday? Like, that just flew by. But if you break it up with time to reflect and slow time down, then your experience of life slows down, which is such a lovely thing if you think about it. I mean, everyone just wants more time, especially when they start to kind of approach the end of their life. So yeah, it adds more time to your life. And the final third point that I think is really important and a good reason as to why people should reflect is about the future. So the future is very hard to predict. I can't tell you what the future iPhone will look like, and people who try and predict the future are more often wrong, and being right is the exception. But what you can be certain of, what you can know for sure, is the future will be very different to the present. The same way that the present is so different to 30 years ago. In 30 years, the world will be so different to today. And Yuval Noah Harari talks about this as well. And his key point is that there are certain skills will be valuable for a world that is rapidly changing. Those are emotional intelligence and resilience. Okay, so adaptability and being a reflective practitioner, taking time to reflect about your position in the whole system and how you fit in and how you operate, what works well for you, knowing yourself, knowing what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, knowing how you can navigate change, spending time reflecting, that builds emotional intelligence and personal resilience. So it's a really important thing to do in what is a very big changing world, which will be full of change. Okay, how to reflect? Well, I really wanted to have a good answer to this question for you guys. Unfortunately, I don't. I mean, I choose to do YouTube and talking with friends. That works really well for me. And I do occasionally diary things out if I want, because in YouTube I can't disclose everything, because some things that I experience are just quite identifiable, and I don't want to kind of identify patients or people without their consent on social media. So I use multiple platforms, and I think that's kind of the best way to do it. Just do whatever works for you, even if it involves multiple platforms. But the one rule that I can say and will help you, and you must do, is you have to create time for it. Okay, because it's rarely going to be in your priorities to create time to reflect. But if you don't make time, then you'll just serendipitously reflect, and it's haphazard and it's crap. And usually I get a lot of really good shower thoughts when I'm not reflecting enough, because the shower is the one place where we all reflect because you have low stimuli, you're kind of at peace, and you're thinking about your life outside of the shower. So if you're having lots of good shower thoughts, it means you're not reflecting enough, maybe. All right, guys, that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm going to leave you with the most important quote shared to me by the incredible Alice Chance YouTube channel somewhere here. Listen, if the sea didn't reflect, it wouldn't be blue. And if you didn't reflect, you wouldn't be you. Peace out.